I'm going to use a medium softness pencil. Normally people start drawing with HB just to mark and mapping out the position of the objects on the paper. So I'm going to start to, I would like to place the object here in the center of my paper. So I'm going to start to decide how wide I want the object to be. I probably move a little bit to the left to give a little bit space for the shadow. And here's the height. And as the whole fruit is tilting a little bit to the right, so also my markings are responding to the shape. So I'm going around and try to adjust the shape that I just created. It's not as round as I thought before. And here's the stem. It's a little indentation there. Now, what I'm going to start, I'm going to find where the core shadow is. The core shadow is also the darkest area on the object. Usually, especially if it's on round forms, it forms a line. It actually shows really well the form of the roundness. It's now I found mine. It's in between the stem and the edge of this side, and is all on the two, let's say 3 parts and 2 parts here in this area, roughly here. And as you come down, the paper have so much reflected light onto the grapefruit, it makes the dark area much lighter. But I am not going to be fooled by it. I'm going to follow my understanding of the object and create and follow with that core shadow. And then I am going to use a darker pencil. And then I'm going to just shade the large relationship, the dark area and the light area. I am following the form, the surface of the form. My lines are not just going randomly. And here's the little indentation. And I am going to also start working with the shadow. The shadow is really soft because it's a natural light. It's not very dramatic, kind of contrast between the light and dark. So I'm just going to make sure I got the shape. I know that where it connects the fruit, the shadow is it's darker, so I'm going to do another layer, cross-hatching, to make sure that the value is differentiated. As I am going forward with the shading, I need to make sure the shadow, the core shadow, is more apparent. So I'm changing the direction a little bit. And make sure the connection between the core shadow and the dark is transitioned smoothly, like so. Even though the reflected area looks very light, without squinting your eyes. I'm going to still make sure that value is consistent with the dark area. Okay. I'm going to continue. I'm going to start on the dark gray area connected to the core shadow. This is the darkest area on the fruit. So I'm going to continue. And every time when I make connections, I make sure the connection is realized, but also have a transition, smooth transition. I don't want the fruit to look like a cube with a sharp edge. I can see there's a turn of surface here. We can almost see the orange. What's inside the orange there, different sections. So I'm going to address that. See how I connect my up values all the way across, all the way to the bottom. Now I'm going to start working down to the darker area. And every time when I make the dark area darker, I make the whole area darker in general, just to make sure that the pressure of my pencil changes as I reach the edge. Make sure the relationship between this part and the shadow correct. I have to maintain the relationship. Drawing is all about maintaining the proper relationships between values. I mean, drawing, cross-hatching, drawing. Now I'm going to move into the gray value. And also I can see the top of the orange being a little bit grayer, darker value. Now I'm going to start from the core shadow and gradually moving upward. Also add another layer, yet change the direction a little bit. Make sure that structure that I addressed earlier maintains. I realize I need to correct the shape a little bit. So drawing here, I realize the top is a little bit rounder. The orange seems like it's tilting a little bit to the right. I need to make sure that I'm aware of the pressure of the pencil on paper. As I move to lighter, I make sure the pressure is getting gentler. I need to use a darker pencil to to make sure the core shadow stays have the contrast it needed. As I'm continue to build the surface and the value, I need to make sure all the large relationships stays the same. Sharpen my pencil. I'm making the darker edge of the orange a little bit sharper, as I can see there's a stronger contrast between the contour of the side to the background. So I'm going to follow what I see and believe what I saw. Now I can move to the next session of the orange that shows the structure of the inside. I can see here is a patch of darker value, and here's the highlight directly here. So I'm going to start working towards the lighter gray value.
I'm using a even darker pencil to work on the core shadow now. I need to maintain the value relationship of the orange, so I'm using softer pencil still to make sure the darker value keeps to be the darkest value. Even in the reflected area, we still can see the structure of the orange. You can see each individual sections create a slight change on the orange surface. I mean grapefruit. Okay, I need to come back to work on the shadow using a darker value again this time. I want a soft edge here, because if the edge here between those two too sharp, will appear like the grapefruit is not sitting on the surface. And also this edge will make things look flat.
going to use a really light pencil, which is the one I start to draw the shapes with. I'm going to use that to adjust the lightest gray value here. See the structure of the orange is being addressed here. This little dark values shows where the section of the grapefruit is underneath the skin. Now my gray color and the dark area becomes so similar, I need to differentiate them a little bit more again. It's an unending process. Once you change the value of one part of the drawing, you need to change the whole, maintain that relationship. And the next stage is to refine the orange. Make sure the surface have this round feeling, and make sure the texture is also addressed a little bit. Need to pick up all the details. This is my darkest pencil. I'm doing the last stage, which is make the dark area even darker. Make sure that contrast that I wanted maintains. I'm also going to use this pencil, go over the whole dark area. maintain the roundness, the illusion of roundness. Working on the gray area transition, make sure that from dark gray to middle gray and to light gray, there's a smooth transition there. Going to create the soft shadows. I think that is almost done, but I'm going to use my eraser to clean up the edge a little bit. I feel like the surface here is not round. That seems like there's an indentation there, which is not really there. So I'm going to work on that. Make sure the roundness of the surface continues all the way across. Once again, make sure the difference maintains. Yeah, slightly better.